Okay, so I am sharing my screen to hopefully give you an idea of what I would do if I was starting out to try to draw these elevations. Obviously, it's a little bit different because you're starting out with someone else's drawings, which can be both a blessing and a curse because it's you just don't know how accurate they are. So depending on if you guys are using the same elevations as the previous architect, you could use this structural section. Or if this is not actually accurate, I would draw my own based on the information that Zach has given you. Um, so anyway, so I would copy this and probably I'll just do it over here. Um, oh, well, that's not what I meant to copy. Sorry about that. All right, let's try this again. Copy. Copy. Okay, great. So now we have a building section, which gives us our levels. So then we can go to depth points. I can do my line tool, and I want my line to be right on that slab, which is the basement level. So I would draw that, and then I would copy this line up to be on my first floor level, and then I would copy this up one more time to be on my truss bearing level. Obviously, definitely make sure that these are accurate. So that would be a question for Zach based on what materials you guys are using, and also if they want like the 8'9.5" ceiling height, or if they're going for something else. So yeah, so then what I would do, since you already have these nice elevations, I would copy them so that you have them all on a nice line so that you can check for accuracy and things like that. Um, so I'm just gonna move this over a little bit. And thankfully we have, let's see what can we do. The trick is you have to find something that you can know is a good reference point. So in this case, a good reference point is probably the bottom of this footing. And I'm going to move this up, and this is actually a really great test because I can see if they are drawing these accurately or if they're just kind of winging the elevations. So looks like they were accurate. So you see that the levels are starting to line up with the elevations, and you want to make sure that your elevations are accurately portraying the different levels. So that's good. So we're going to carry this line further out. Another way you could have done that rather than just grabbing it is stretching the line. So we're actually going to use the stretch command, grab all of these by doing that left click, and then we're going to stretch these so that they are going out far enough so we can put all of our elevations on here. So that was the front elevation. Let's put the right elevation. So it's like we're walking around the building. I'm going to grab the bottom footing since that was our reference point for the last one. Pop that on there. That looks good. Okay, and those are lining up, which is a good sign because we want everything to be accurate. Um, that's weird that that doesn't line up. So that's certainly something to look at later. Okay, so let's see. They have that. Okay. Probably could have moved that out a little bit, but that's okay. All right, so those are there. Okay, so that was the right. So then we're going to do the rear elevation. Copy this using that bottom footing again, and this is really redundant, but I just figured I would show you what I typically do. And that way you can come up with your own version of doing it, but I personally have found this to be really effective. So okay, so we've done that. We need, okay, we've done the front. Let me see, what do we have left? Did the front, did the right, did the rear, so we just need the left elevation. Okay, so let's copy this last one. Grab the bottom of the footing. And there we have it. Okay, so these are all lined up. I realize now that I accidentally didn't copy that over correctly, but because I already have everything all lined up, I'm actually just going to delete this. But it should have been with the front elevation. I just put it a little too close. So yeah, I'm actually gonna shift these a little bit to the right. And yeah, sometimes it's nice to put like lines going vertically up the page to make sure that you have your elevations like at perfect distances between each other. But just because I'm just showing this, I'm not gonna go through the extra effort of doing that. So okay, so we have our elevations all lined up nicely. We know that they are at the correct levels. We can verify that they are all accurate. Okay, so then the next thing I would do is I see all of these lines are kind of separate. I personally would recommend like try to use the join tool to connect these different lines. And so what that would look like is you can go up here and you can, it's funny, I usually just use, okay, so I typically just type in join a J and then join, and then you can click two lines like that, and then hit enter, and then they are one line. And it's really nice because when you make changes, like the whole wall can move versus just all these separate lines. I did make this my own file, so I am not messing with your drawing. Another thing to watch out for is you want to watch out for minimum code requirements, and so it varies between like residential and commercial. But you want to find like the center line of the toilet and then go to like the nearest obstruction to the right. And I noticed that it's like 1 foot 1 and 3/16, and so minimum it needs to be 15 inches. And so anyways, that's something that I would watch out for, is just really make sure you're verifying that the bathrooms meet code requirements. And it really does vary between like different jobs. So that's an easy Google search. One other thing I noticed is that like the blocks are all separate. What I would do is I would type in block, and then it comes up and I would say toilet. I would pick a good insertion point, grab the whole thing, and press enter. And then you have one thing that you can easily move to get that 15-inch clearance. And I definitely changed the layer. Depth points is always going to be invisible when you plot. So do that. I'm going to go in and just double check that I didn't make the whole block of depth points, because that, yeah, it's on 0, so it's not even going to show up. So now it's on 1, it's going to show up when I plot. Anyway, that was a little sidetrack. Those are some other things that I noticed. Okay, so back to the elevations. Let's see. Okay, so I would make, once you have finalized what the client wants for the plan views, or close, I tend to make my plan views a block before I do what I'm about to do. So I'm gonna say block, foundation. These are actually architectural. So architectural foundation plans, that, and then I'm gonna pick just the same spot every time. So I'm just going to pick the left corner. Nothing particularly special about that, but, and then I'm going to make this a block. Block, architectural first, more plan. And there really is a reason I'm doing this. Mostly because if you make changes later, you don't want to have to recopy everything over to your elevations. So this is just a really useful way to make sure that you're staying consistent throughout the drawings. So architectural on blue pen. Okay. So that's good. I got that. Enter. Okay, so now we have blocks that are plan views, which are really easily movable, and you can explode them at any time. So you don't like, you can change this. It's just right now it's nice to have that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna copy. This is my front of my drawing. So, or on my building. So I'm gonna copy. I'm gonna grab any point with 8 so that I can move this. And I'm gonna come over to my front and I'm just gonna put it kind of in the right place. And then I'm gonna copy for here. I'm gonna grab this corner and I'm gonna put it kind of in the right place. And then I'm gonna copy this guy, roof, and I'm gonna. 1 second, baby. I'm recording something for Cody, okay? Can you give me just a minute? Okay. Sorry, my son is homesick. So, all right. So we're gonna draw a line. We're gonna press F8 to make sure it's perfectly straight. Oh, Clint, you can watch me, buddy, but I'm showing Cody how to draw elevations for houses. You can watch. Okay, so now that we have these lines, which I like to draw on diff points that show the edge of our building, I am gonna move my plan views to be perfectly aligned with those straight lines. Okay, so everything's straight. Oh, Mom. Oh, Mom. Okay, perfect. Watch your movie, Clint. I'll be there in just a little bit. Okay, and then this is lined up. Hey. Okay, buddy, I love you. Bye-bye. Okay, and then this is, oh, thank you. Okay, and then this is lined up. Sorry about that. Okay. So now we have everything lined up. And this is really important and helpful because between the structural section, which tells me my levels, and between all of these plan views perfectly lined up, I can make sure that my openings are accurate. So I can, that one's not gonna be super helpful, but I can pop in here and make sure that my garage doors are the right size. So I do this with every job, whether I have the drawings from someone else or I'm drawing them back from scratch myself. It just really makes sure that you're keeping everything consistent, accurate, and if something changes, it's less of a headache. And while it does take a little bit to set this up, I think it's a really great tool to make sure that you're staying accurate. So anyways, you're gonna just draw lines to all of your openings, and Zach and Kirk may have already shown you something similar, or they might have a little bit of a different strategy. This is what I personally do. So anyways, you're gonna continue drawing lines to all of your openings, and then you're gonna use this section and make sure that they're at the right height for your openings and different things like that. And then you're gonna use these vertical lines to verify that you are drawing the openings and different things like that at the right location according to your plan views. Because sometimes you think it's in the right spot in the elevation, but when you draw these vertical lines, it shows you that, oh, it's actually a little bit off. So anyways, I'm not going to go through and do all of these, but I will say, like, when you do the next elevation part, you're going to copy this over. I just like to type in rotate. You can also go up here and go to the rotate, but I personally think it's faster to just type in like the first 2 letters on your keyboard and then you get it. So rotate, make sure you are rotating the right way. So I like to visualize that I am walking around the house. So I was in the front, now I'm walking to the right side. So I'm going to be looking at the right side of the house. So I rotate my house right so that I'm looking at the correct side of the house. So, and then same thing. So I might just copy over this line. And I put it on that side, and then I'm going to move over my plan view to be aligned with that. And so I'm going to carry on, and I'm going to do the same thing with my next plan view and rotate. And I'm going to make sure that all of my plan views are rotated, going the same way. Anyway, so I'm gonna do the same